I don't need to engage in a debate with a member of the KKK to be able to explain how and why they are wrong. I don't need to hear both sides of someone denying the basics of human rights. As I pointed out to Tim, I'm not better than him because I served. I'm better than him because I will defend the Constitution rather than crumpling it up and throwing it out and wiping my ass with it.
Currency is higher than most other countries because they have oil and these resources. Is it that why these countries are really trying to dismantle to the Middle Eastern countries?
Hi, everyone. Thanks for watching. Most of the content on my channel is supported by generous patrons, but made available for free to the entire world. If you support that, please consider adding your support at patreon.com/atheistdebates. This clip, however, is from one of the many programs that I do on YouTube on The Line. And if you liked it, feel free to visit, like, subscribe, and watch The Line Network live. Thank you. So Romont is calling from South Carolina. Pronouns are him. Romont's an atheist who says it was wrong to cut off and mute Tim. I wonder how many minutes we were in that call before I muted Tim for the first time. Hey, Romont, why do you think it was wrong for me to mute Tim?
Hey, how y'all doing?
Oh, I'm sorry. I muted you right off the bat. Here, let me unmute you. Hey, Romont, why do you think it was wrong for me to mute Tim?
Hey, only because, you know, when you hear both sides, it's good to hear both sides. I'm not saying
no,
that
it's not, Romont. No, it's not, Romont. It's not good to hear both sides. And we waited many, many minutes of attempting to let him give his side over and over again. And he kept refusing to answer the questions and wanted to keep asking us questions and engage in whataboutism.
That is true.
I know, and you shouldn't be talking right now because we don't need to hear your side. When I don't need to engage in a debate with a member of the KKK to be able to explain how and why they are wrong. I don't need to hear both sides of someone denying the basics of human rights. I'm sorry, you're still talking. I don't need to hear both sides of people arguing on behalf of basic human rights. And I don't need to hear both sides of people saying, I'd like to defend the Constitution, and someone else saying, I'd like to throw the fucking Constitution out of the water because I want, or out of the way because it's inconvenient to me deporting people. I'm sorry that you don't like the fact that I muted him, but I reject your assertion that any of us need to listen to Tim any more than we did, or that we muted him too early.
Okay, understandable.
Thanks.
I don't agree with deporting people exactly, but we also have to keep in mind too that something is going on in South America which pushes these people up to America. Why aren't the South Americans fixing the issues? And why aren't the South Americans that come to America, why don't they stand up for their rights and fight for their country first before running to another country when
because some people can't do that. Like I can't fight to defend Texas from an invasion. But also, are you aware that the previous administrations, that their solution to the immigration problem was specifically to help improve those nations from which immigrants were coming so that there would be less incentive for them to leave? It's terrible that El Salvador and Venezuela and whatever countries have been overrun by drug lords and have corrupt politicians, but people who are seeking to escape that, of course, they're going to come to the United States because right there on the Statue of the Liberty is give me your tired, poor, hungry, etc., yearning for peace and freedom. So you can't say, hey, if you're being oppressed somewhere, you can come here, and then say, well, why are they leaving their country? They should stay there and fight for it. Some of them did, and some of them lost everything. And some of them are leaving their country because if they stayed there any longer, they would be dead or imprisoned because they're not part of the corrupt environment. The solution, in part, is to make the whole world better because a rising tide lifts all boats. And then, if we get rid of borders, you don't have anybody coming to America. You just have Earth.
Right.
Not a practical solution, but...
Well, just to add a little bit of context here, just in case anybody has any problems with what Matt just said about trying to alleviate all the problems in Central America. Kamala Harris, what she did was she drummed up I believe it was $5 billion in private like investments in Central America in key countries that we were seeing the most immigrants coming from. You had had her doing that, and then also the previous administration definitely emphasized for people not to come, like not to like try to come and enter the U.S. and whatnot because they're fleeing issues that were in Central America. So I mean, there were substantial efforts done by the Biden administration in order to curb it. But still, I do also want to point out that normally conservatives, at least the conservative like stuff that I get, is like, oh, you don't like it here, then move. And it seems like now they're complaining about other people that are doing that exact thing. They don't like the area they're in, so they move. It just seems like they're just following the instructions.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Don't get on me for this. I want to say one thing though. I didn't join the military because as I was growing, I was willing to join the military. Wonderful idea. But as I started studying and researching the military and a lot of the wars, when I got 18, I realized like, how can I want to serve, but if it's corruptness coming from the United States, why would I join a dishonorable military?
I agree.
And then if they go to a war I don't agree with, I would have to go to jail, get some type of fine. I can't work in the United States anymore.
I'm not going to give you any grief for it. I agree with you. I served. I enjoyed my time, most of it. I'm generally proud of it. However, I have no problem with conscientious objectors. I have no problem with people who decide the military is not for them. As I pointed out to Tim, I'm not better than him because I served. I'm better than him because I will defend the Constitution rather than crumpling it up and throwing it out and wiping my ass with it. That's what makes it different.
That's true.
And my asking him where he served was yet another step in showing not only does he not know or understand the issues, but what has he done to contribute to defending the Constitution at all. Some people contribute by serving in the military. Some people contribute by becoming constitutional scholars and lawyers, protecting the First Amendment rights. There are organizations that serve just to help people who've been falsely accused of things. There are organizations that exist just for immigrants. There are constitutional lawyers and scholars, like a friend of the show, Andrew Seidel, who are out there working constantly for this stuff. Whether or not somebody served, I don't care. I mean, I get when people are like, oh, thank you for your service. I'm like, you don't have to do that. My dad was in Vietnam. Thank him for his service, because that was a shitty time to be in the military. I floated around on an aircraft carrier for 3 days during the Gulf War, watching planes take off and land. I was at less risk during the Gulf War than current troops are at bases in the Middle East right now, because we have an absolute dipshit and with a Fox News host running the Department of Defense. Luckily, the generals are not dipshits and are going to be giving the best advice that they can. And so what you've got is these idiot figureheads in charge. But they thought, oh, we'll just go in and obliterate Iran's nuclear capabilities. Well, they didn't, which means what's going to happen in 3 to 6 months? Are we going to have to do this again? Are we going to have to get bigger bombs? Is the only thing left that would stop this a nuke? And meanwhile, when Iran, who all the evidence suggests Iranian government is basically teaching death to Israel, death to America from the beginning, which makes it really easy for these misinformed, ill-informed right-wing dipshits to be like, yeah, fuck Iran, fuck Iran. I don't care how you pronounce it. Just blow them up. That mentality is fomented by Iran teaching this. And then when we drop bombs on them, that just adds fuel to the fire. And now what are they going to do? They're going to activate sleeper cells with, ill intent. And they've already started trying to attack U.S. facilities in the region that can't attack further than that. I was having a conversation with somebody on Facebook just the other day. We're not at risk of having ICBMs hitting the U.S. anytime soon, but we are at risk for terrorist retaliation, and our soldiers, and sailors, and Air Force and Marines who are over in that area are at risk. And I guarantee you, when the first American flag-draped coffins start coming back from that area, shit's going to go crazy. And you will see the absolute worst patriots, the jingoist ultra patriots applauding the beginnings of what could be a world war.
Yes, I agree with that.
So also, thank you for your non-service.
I didn't serve. Well, I didn't serve directly in any kind of armed forces, but I started my career in missile defense, and the work that I did, I guess recent. I can't speak too specifically, but it recently got rigorously tested, and it was very successful, in terms of missile defense.
Okay. One question though, could it be that because of the BRIC organization trying to get organized, and I also understand that Middle East dollar currency is higher than most other countries because they have oil and these resources. Is it that why these countries are really trying to dismantle to the Middle Eastern countries?
Yes. If you don't, this requires no thought. I mentioned this to Arden earlier today. It is everything that's going on with regard to the United States and Middle East is about two things: Israel and oil. They're the religious end of times. Let's usher in the second coming of Christ, folks. That's the only reason Christians side with Israel by default. You remember, it was the Jews that killed Jesus, and Hitler even used that as a foil to exterminate 6 million of them.
Right.
But there's no such thing as Judeo-Christian. Judeo-Christian is an invention that Christians use in order to make use of Jews to try to bring about the second coming. And Jews are complicit in going along with it because they have been the bastard stepchild battered around and are tired of it. And so they want it all. And so even when they're in the midst of a genocide, even when they are the instigators in some cases, they will justify it as defense. And in many cases, they are defending themselves. I'm not saying they don't have a right to defend themselves.
Right.
But when you listen to what Trump said, when he talked about the Iraq war, he said that he said they shouldn't do it, but he said if they do it, they should have kept the oil. This is the man that we've elected to be president twice, saying that when we went to war in Iraq, he was opposed to it because he's opposed to war. But if we're going to do it, we should have kept the oil. He's an absolute capitalist, imperialist piece of shit. And if you think this stuff's going to happen over there now, this type of thing could get the United States ostracized from NATO, which he's fine with, the United Nations. We could be one of those rogue nations because we elected someone who goes in, bombs someone in order to look tough to his buddy in Israel, and then decides to stay, finish it off so he can keep the oil.
I agree. I agree with that.
It's terrifying, man. Thank you for calling, Romont.
All right. Thank y'all, guys. Y'all have a good day. Y'all be safe.
Yep. You too, man.
All right. You too.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed that content or think you can do better than the caller, The Hang Up is live Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Central on The Line. Links below.